My fellow humans of YouTube, or at least I believe it's reasonable to assume that's how you identify. You can never really be certain these days. But anyways, I have a few questions to pose for you. What does parental rights mean to you? What does it look like in practice? Is there a limit at any point? Ponder these questions for yourself as we roll into today's episode. And with that, I'm your host, Kabir Singh, and this is Against the Grain. As always, like and subscribe if you have not already, and hit that notification bell. Today's theme is going to be parental empowerment, because every kid deserves a strong set of parents who are going to fight tooth and nail for them.
Not my daughter.
But it seems there are some activists and teachers who want to do away with the idea of parental rights. First up is TikTok influencer Alice Winterland, who sort of went viral this week for her stance on the matter. Let's roll the clip.
Let's talk about parental rights for a second, because it's become evident that it's being used currently in this fight against queer kids. Like in Saskatchewan and in the US, parental rights are being used to thwart any rights of autonomy that the kid might have. And I'm sorry, but kids do have autonomy. We've already established this. For example, if a kid needs a blood transfusion and the parents don't want to, it's not the parent's right to refuse that blood transfusion for that kid because it is life-saving.
I mean, she is right about the blood transfusion. No parent should ever deny their kid that.
In the same respect, if a kid only needs to use a different name and pronoun in school, there might be a reason, and a good reason, they're not coming out at home. And they need a safe place to be themselves. And so, to hell with this idea of parental rights when it comes to kids who have their own consent and then their own bodily autonomy and their own autonomy to their personhood that need to be protected.
You know, when she first started talking about the blood transfusion, I thought it was going to be somewhat of a reasonable argument, not going to lie, because she's absolutely correct that kids should advocate for their own health. And if a parent refuses essential treatment, they should be punished and lose custody of their children, 100%. I think most sane people are on board with that sentiment. And then she started conflating that with pronouns, and I got confused. And then she said, to hell with the idea of parental rights. And any hope that I had went out the window.
I was rooting for you. We were all rooting for you. How dare you?
A few more points here. She talks about laws being used to hurt queer kids. And I'm assuming she's referring to this new law in Saskatchewan in which kids under 16 must receive parental consent to use different pronouns. And many child advocates think that it's a violation of human rights. To which I say this: if any kid feels they identify as something other than what they really are, one of two things are likely happening. One, they have a certain mental health condition that needs attention, or two, they're going through a phase which a lot of kids go through. And in either case, would it not fall on the parent to get their child the help that they need, or guide them through that phase so that they come out on the other side stronger? And by that same logic, would it not be bad parenting for them to not be privy to what's going on inside their child's classroom? Also, she talks about kids being able to consent, to which I say, in no way, shape, or form can a child consent. Going back to the surgery example, who signs off on the surgery at the end of the day? It's the parents or the legal guardian, because kids don't always understand the potential risks of those surgeries as well as their parents do. Our brains are developing well into our 20s, and during that time, do we always make the best decisions? Did you make the best decisions when you were in college? Probably not. Now, that doesn't mean that kids don't at all know what's best for them. And they should feel empowered starting at a young age to trust their decision-making to a degree. But that can only happen when you have involved parents who are privy to your challenges and can guide you through them. And yes, kids should have a level of autonomy to make mistakes for themselves and learn the consequences. That's what makes well-adapted human beings. But the parent should also be able to intervene when they feel that those decisions will hurt their child in the long run. And I will always advocate for children who are being abused. They should 100% be removed from that household and placed into a safer environment. but arguing for the wholesale taking away of parental rights is dangerous and divisive. Alba M said on X, not just to hell with the idea of parental rights, to hell with the idea of parents. To which Art Vandeke said on X, seems like unobstructed grooming is the goal. And you know what's crazy? The same person who will say, let's get rid of parental rights, will be the same person that will call you an intolerant, bigot, and a conspiracy theorist when you call them a groomer. Well, I want to show you a video from a Dairy Queen rally a few months ago. Except the word isn't Dairy Queen. There's a certain word I want to avoid being censored from on a certain big tech platform. Anyways, watch the clip and you'll see what I'm talking about. Let's go. Yep, there's their breasts. We're here, we're queer, we're coming for your children, as one of them has their breasts out. Well, you know who else introduces sexual things to kids behind the parents' back? Creepy dudes in chat rooms who want to lure kids in, alienate them from their parents, and molest them. Now, when it comes to Alice herself, I had a feeling that her intentions weren't truly all that pure. And it turns out I was right, because on her TikTok, she has a Linktree URL in her bio. And when you click on that Linktree, do you know what one of the pages are that show up? Her OnlyFans. And I bring this up because her entire brand is LGBT, and she makes many videos on children's rights. So it really doesn't help the LGBTQIA movement when some of your biggest and loudest advocates are sexualizing themselves in public. Now, granted, she does only have 5,600 followers on TikTok, but this particular video was picked up by people like Michael Knowles and Dennis Prager, who have considerable follower base on their social media. So it just shows that Alice does have the potential to reach the masses, especially when this video went viral. Many parents fear that the real goal is indoctrination, and I highly encourage you to read up on John Money and the origins of gender identity as a social construct, in case you haven't already. I'll post a few links in the description, but just be warned, it is dark, it is twisted, and it involves the exploitation of two very young children, neither of whom grew up to be very happy adults. And when you look at the origins, coupled with these examples that I've shown here, it gives a level of merit to those concerns. And when those merited concerns are met with dismissiveness, denial, and gaslighting, that should be a sure sign for you to hold your ground even harder. When it comes to people who are behaving like this, you cannot waver in your position in the slightest, nor can you be diplomatic with these people. Because in life, when somebody is trying to undermine your authority for no other reason than to push their own agenda, you give them an inch and they'll take a mile. Thank you so much for watching. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're new to this channel, watch some of these videos. Also, feel free to follow me on social media. Until next time.